Welcome back to the deep dive. Now we know you're a Marine, which means you're about to get a serious dose of knowledge on something that's absolutely vital to your mission.
Logistics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're tackling MCDP 4, which is the Marine Corps doctrine on how it all works.
And let me tell you, getting deep into this doctrine has been fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
MCDP 4, it's just packed with insights that are relevant to every Marine out there.
Regardless of MOS.
Regardless of your MOS, that's right.
Yeah. So we're going to take you beyond just the basics.
Yeah.
We're going to connect those dots between what you do on the ground and the bigger picture of how the Marine Corps operates.
We'll unpack how logistics has transformed over time.
Right.
The very real challenges that you face in today's world.
Absolutely.
And how it all ties into the Marine Corps way of fighting.
And we've got some fascinating historical examples.
Oh, yeah.
Direct quotes from MCDP 4.
Straight from the source.
To really bring this to life.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
MCDP 4 kicks off with the definition of logistics.
Okay.
The procurement, transportation, and maintenance of material facilities and personnel.
Right.
Simpler terms, providing everything needed to operate.
Yeah. Basically keeping the machine running.
But MCDP 4 doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it really emphasizes that logistics impacts everything.
Oh, for sure.
In fact, General Gray, he's even quoted in here, saying that planning must begin with what's logistically possible, not just with what's ideal.
Yeah, you're not just thinking about what you want to do.
Right.
You're thinking about what you can do.
Exactly. What you can actually make happen.
And that's a core concept you as a Marine deal with every single day.
It is. It's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And MCDP 4 goes on to use this really powerful analogy. They talk about logistics as a bridge.
A bridge?
A bridge, yeah.
Okay.
It connects the nation's entire economy.
Wow.
All of its resources, all of its people to your combat power as a Marine on the ground.
That's such a vivid image.
It is. It's a powerful way to think about it.
Really brings home the scale of it all.
Absolutely.
You know, everything you rely on, from food and fuel to weapons and ammo.
Right.
It's traveled through this incredibly complex system to reach you.
It's a massive undertaking.
It is.
And it highlights that your mission, whatever it may be, only succeeds because of that logistical chain.
You're not just passively receiving supply.
I know.
You know?
You are a vital link in this system.
So how did we even arrive at this point? You know, MCDP 4 talks about the evolution of logistics.
Yeah.
And it points to these two major turning points.
Right.
What's the first one?
The Industrial Revolution. Before that, armies were, severely limited in size and capability. But with mass production, suddenly you have larger armies, more potent weapons, greater mobility.
It's like going from a horse and cart to a high-powered engine.
Exactly.
Everything changes.
Yeah, the whole game changes.
Yeah.
Logistics becomes essential.
Okay.
It's a prerequisite for waging war on a modern scale.
And that brings us to the second turning point.
Yeah.
One that's still shaping the way we fight today.
The information age.
The information age.
That's right.
Now, the speed of information changes everything.
It does.
We need to be able to get supplies where they need to be as fast as information travels.
Exactly.
Adapt to rapidly evolving situations.
Absolutely.
Stay ahead of disruptions.
And this is where MCDP 4 brings up a critical point for you as a Marine.
Okay.
It's not just about having a ton of information.
Yeah.
It's about turning that data into actionable knowledge on the ground.
You're constantly bombarded with information.
Oh, yeah. Information overload is a real thing.
But what MCDP 4 is saying is you need to be able to sift through it.
Right.
Analyze it, and make decisions based on what's truly relevant.
You got to cut through the noise and get to the signal.
To your mission.
Exactly.
And this leads to a concept that MCDP 4 calls
hybrid logistics.
Hybrid logistics.
Yeah.
What's that?
It recognizes that the best approach isn't always the newest technology. Sometimes it means blending those tried and true methods with those cutting edge tools.
To get the job done.
Whatever it takes. Right?
Like using mules alongside motor vehicles in Afghanistan.
Yeah, MCDP 4 actually mentions that.
Yeah, sometimes the old ways are still the most effective.
Especially in certain environments.
And speaking of the environment you operate in.
Right.
MCDP 4 is very clear about one thing.
What's that?
Today's logistical landscape is contested.
Oh, yeah.
Globally.
Globally contested.
In every single domain.
Every domain.
So what does that mean for you as a Marine?
Well, it means that logistics itself is a target.
A target.
Yeah, think back to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Okay.
IEDs targeting supply convoys.
Right.
Disrupting logistics hurts.
Yeah.
And the enemy knows it.
But the threat extends beyond those physical attacks.
It does. It absolutely does.
You know, think about the potential impact of cyber attacks
Oh, yeah.
on supply systems,
Huge vulnerability.
disinformation campaigns that sow distrust
Right.
in logistics providers.
Absolutely trying to undermine the whole
Yeah.
system.
Or even attacks targeting manufacturers
Yeah.
back in the U.S.
Back in the homeland.
It's all part of this multi-domain fight.
It's all connected.
And MCDP4 even uses this vignette
Okay.
about a small-town business called Bill's Garage
Bill's Garage. Okay.
to drive this point home.
Interesting.
Bill's Garage makes bearings for military equipment.
Okay.
And suddenly,
Uh,
they become a strategic target
because
the enemy recognizes how vulnerable our interconnected supply chain is.
that vignette really highlights how even something seemingly insignificant
Yeah.
can have these huge strategic implications.
Right.
The global supply chain is a complex web,
It is.
and any disruption anywhere along the line can ripple outwards.
And impact your ability to operate effectively.
It's a domino effect.
There's a whole new level of complexity.
It is.
So how do we even begin to make sense of this?
Right.
How do we plan and operate in such a contested environment?
Well, MCDP4 introduces this concept of the competition continuum.
The competition continuum.
Yeah.
What is that?
It recognizes that we're not just dealing with these clear-cut states of war and peace.
Right.
We're constantly moving along this spectrum that includes deterrence assurance crisis and conflict.
So it's like a constant back and forth.
It's a gray zone where the lines are blurred.
And logistics plays a vital role in each phase.
Absolutely. In every single one.
And for you as a Marine, this means that you're contributing to the mission.
Right.
Even when you're not directly engaging in combat,
That's right.
you are constantly preparing for and adapting to these ever-changing conditions.
It's a never-ending process.
So logistics is more than just supporting combat operations.
It is.
It's a crucial element in maintaining readiness
Right.
and deterring adversaries.
Absolutely.
And that adaptability is key because MCDP4 outlines these key characteristics of logistics that are crucial for success.
Yeah.
And the first one is the idea that logistics is both an art and a science.
That's right.
It's finding that sweet spot between those precise calculations.
Right.
Like figuring out exactly how much fuel a battalion needs.
Yeah, for a specific operation.
And being able to anticipate the enemy's moves.
Right.
And adjust on the fly when the unexpected happens.
Which it always does.
It always does.
Right.
And this is where your training and experience as a Marine becomes so important.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to trust your gut.
Yeah.
As much as the numbers make those tough calls in the field and adapt to those rapidly evolving situations.
You got to be able to think on your feet.
MCDP4 is really emphasizing that logistics requires both analytical skills
Yes.
and adaptability.
It's not just about crunching numbers.
No.
It's about understanding the complexities of the battlefield.
And making sound judgments under pressure.
And that leads to the next point.
Okay.
Logistics is all about supporting complex forces.
Right.
It involves countless individuals and organizations.
Working together seamlessly.
It truly is a team effort of epic proportions. And MCDP4 really drives home how important collaboration and trust are in this system.
You're not just doing your job in isolation.
Yeah.
You're part of a network
Right.
that enables the entire force to operate.
And it's built on trust communication and a common understanding of the mission.
Absolutely.
It's a shared purpose that makes the whole thing work.
It does.
Yeah. Now, MCDP4 goes on to discuss logistics as a warfighting function, and you might be surprised to learn that there are actually 7 of these functions.
7?
7, yeah.
Wow. I would have thought there'd be more.
I know, right? And these functions, they're the core of how the Marines operate. And guess what? Logistics underpins every single one of them.
That makes sense when you think about it. I mean, you can't really do anything without the right stuff in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. So let's break down these 7 functions and see how logistics ties into each one. First up, we have command and control. This is all about making decisions and directing forces. It's the brain of the operation.
So how does logistics support command and control?
Well, it ensures that the commanders have the personnel, the equipment, the communication systems, everything they need to make those decisions and effectively direct the troops.
It's like making sure the brain has all the oxygen and nutrients it needs to function properly.
That's a great analogy. Next, we have intelligence, which is all about gathering information and understanding the enemy and the battle space.
I can see how logistics plays a role here too. Intelligence units need transportation to get to their observation points. They need equipment to gather information, and they rely on secure communication networks to relay that information back to command.
You got it. And it goes both ways. Logistics units also provide valuable intelligence. They're out there on the ground, they see things, they gather information about road conditions, enemy activity, potential threats. This kind of real-time intel is invaluable.
It's like having eyes and ears everywhere, feeding information back into the system.
Now let's move on to fires and maneuver. This is the bread and butter of combat operations. It's about using firepower and movement to engage and defeat the enemy.
And logistics is obviously crucial here. I mean, tanks need fuel, artillery needs ammunition, troops need food and water. You can't maneuver or engage the enemy effectively if you don't have the supplies you need.
Exactly. And this is where the speed and efficiency of logistics really comes into play. In maneuver warfare, you need to be able to move quickly and strike where the enemy least expects it. That requires a logistical system that can keep up with the pace of operations.
So it's not just about getting the supplies there, it's about getting them there fast enough to maintain the momentum of the attack.
Right. And then we have force protection, which is all about protecting your troops from enemy attacks and other threats.
This one seems pretty straightforward. Logistics provides the equipment and resources necessary for force protection. Things like body armor fortifications, medical supplies, evacuation capabilities.
You got it. And a robust logistical system also allows you to anticipate and respond to threats more effectively. For example, if you have good intel on enemy movements, you can preposition supplies and reinforcements to better protect your troops.
It's about being proactive and prepared rather than reactive.
Now we come to information which might seem a bit less obvious than the others, but it's becoming increasingly important in modern warfare.
How so?
Well, effective logistics relies heavily on accurate information. You need to know where your supplies are, where they need to go, what the status of your equipment is, and so on.
And in today's digital world, that information is all transmitted and stored electronically, which makes it vulnerable to cyber attacks.
Exactly. A cyber attack could disrupt communication networks, corrupt data, or even take control of logistical systems. Imagine the chaos if someone hacked into the system and redirected a convoy full of supplies to the wrong location, or worse, to the enemy.
That's a chilling thought. It really highlights how important cybersecurity is in the realm of logistics.
And finally, we have information. Accurate and timely information is absolutely essential for making informed decisions and coordinating logistical operations.
So it's not just about having the information, it's about making sure the right people have the right information at the right time.
Precisely. And this is where things like communication systems, data analysis tools, and intelligence sharing platforms become crucial. They enable the efficient flow of information throughout the logistical chain.
So logistics is deeply intertwined with every aspect of warfighting. It's not just a support function, it's an integral part of how the Marines operate and achieve their objectives.
You've got it. And to really understand this connection, let's talk about the Marine Corps fighting philosophy, maneuver warfare, which emphasizes speed, surprise, and disrupting the enemy.
Maneuver warfare is all about hitting the enemy hard and fast where they least expect it. It's about being agile and adaptable, constantly outmaneuvering the opponent.
Exactly. And MCDP-4 makes it very clear that logistics must be designed to support this way of fighting.
I can see how that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
If you're constantly on the move trying to outmaneuver the enemy, your logistical system needs to be incredibly flexible and responsive.
Absolutely. You can't be bogged down by slow or cumbersome logistical processes. You need to be able to get supplies to your troops wherever they are quickly and efficiently, and you need to be able to adapt to changing circumstances on the fly.
So for you as a Marine, it means thinking of logistics not just as getting stuff, but as an integral part of how you fight and win battles.
MCDP-4 brings up a powerful historical example to illustrate this point. Major General Smith at the Chosin Reservoir during the Korean War.
Chosin Reservoir. One of the most brutal battles in Marine Corps history. Freezing temperatures, relentless enemy attacks, completely outnumbered. Talk about a test of endurance.
Exactly. And what MCDP-4 highlights is that General Smith's success wasn't just about his tactical brilliance, but his deep understanding of logistics and how it could be used to achieve his objectives.
What stands out to you from that story?
Well, for one thing, protecting his supply lines was just as important as attacking the enemy. He knew that if those lines were cut, his Marines would be stranded and vulnerable.
That's a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in the offensive aspects of warfare, but protecting your logistical backbone is equally important.
And then there's the decision to pre-position supplies at a place called Hagaruri. This proved absolutely critical for the Marine survival and eventual evacuation. They had food, ammunition, medical supplies, everything they needed to hold out against overwhelming odds.
So this wasn't just luck or good instincts. It was a deliberate logistical plan that made all the difference in a desperate situation.
Right. And that's the takeaway here. Logistics isn't some back office function. It's woven into the very fabric of Marine Corps operations, and it can be the deciding factor between victory and defeat.
I'm starting to see how all of this connects to my role as a Marine. It's not enough to just be a good rifleman or a skilled technician. I need to understand how logistics impacts everything I do and how I can contribute to the overall efficiency and effectiveness of the system.
That's a great insight. And it leads us to a crucial question that MCDP-4 raises. How can Marines on the ground today prepare to adapt and stay ahead of the curve in a world where technology is constantly changing the logistical landscape?
That's a big question. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this.
It is a big question, and frankly, one that MCDP-4 doesn't give us those easy answers to.
Right.
But it does offer some valuable clues.
All right.
It emphasizes that adaptability and innovation are going to be more important than ever before. As technology advances, the logistical landscape is going to become even more complex and interconnected.
So we're talking about things like artificial intelligence,
Right.
robotics, autonomous vehicles, drone delivery systems, cyber warfare.
All of these things.
All of these are going to have a major impact
Right.
on how logistics is conducted in the future.
Absolutely. And for Marines on the ground, that means staying informed about these emerging technologies, understanding their potential applications, and being willing to embrace those new ways of doing things.
It sounds like we're going to have to be comfortable operating in a world where the only constant is change.
That's exactly right. The days of relying on those static logistical plans and rigid procedures are over.
Yeah.
You need to be able to think on your feet, adapt to those unexpected challenges, and come up with creative solutions.
It's like the Marine Corps motto, improvise, adapt, overcome.
Yeah.
Is going to be more relevant than ever in the realm of logistics.
And MCDP-4 highlights another crucial aspect of this adaptability.
What's that?
It's the need for continuous learning and professional development.
So it's not enough to just learn the basics of logistics.
No.
You need to constantly be expanding your knowledge base,
Right.
staying abreast of those new technologies and refining your skills.
And that goes for everyone involved in that logistical chain.
Right.
From the folks planning and managing those operations to the Marines on the ground receiving and utilizing those supplies.
It sounds like logistics is becoming less about following set procedures.
Yeah.
And more about being a problem solver.
Right.
A critical thinker.
Yeah.
Someone who can anticipate challenges and find those solutions on the fly.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why MCDP-4 stresses the importance of those training and education programs that foster these skills. It encourages Marines to think outside the box, challenge assumptions, and come up with innovative ways to overcome those logistical hurdles.
It's about empowering Marines at all levels.
Right.
To take ownership of logistics and see themselves as integral parts of the solution.
And this brings us back to you. As a Marine, you're on the front lines of this logistical evolution. You're the one who ultimately has to make these concepts work in the real world.
So it's not just about understanding MCDP-4.
No.
It's about internalizing its principles, applying them to your specific role, and constantly looking for ways to improve the system.
And that's why we've taken this deep dive into MCDP-4 with you. We want you to see logistics not as some dry or abstract concept, but as a living, breathing system that's essential to everything you do as a Marine.
We hope this has given you a better understanding of not just the what of logistics, but the why, the how, and the so what.
Remember, logistics is more than just beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. It's the engine that keeps the Marine Corps running, and you play a critical role in keeping that engine running smoothly.
So keep learning, keep adapting, and keep those supply lines moving. Your mission and the success of the Marine Corps depends on it.
Semper Fi.